Welcome back to day 4 of 24 days of personal branding. Today, we're talking all about your niche. We'll get into what's a niche, why you need one, and how to pick the right one. So to start off, what's a niche? I just pulled these from the internet. So a business niche is a market segment where certain products and services are in demand. Niche markets can cater to geographic locations, cultures, occasions, or activities. These days, services are increasingly specialized. It's often preferable to be highly knowledgeable on one or two things than to have general knowledge of everything. Specialization gives consumers, potential investors, and business partners clarity on your business and its function. So your niche within your personal brand is more specific than your industry, basically. So it's a step even deeper than that. That's why we talked about your industry on yesterday's lesson, so that you'll be able to figure this out relatively easily. And you'll also want to reference the questions that you answered from day 2, because those are going to help you with this as well. So if you have those, be sure to grab them before we get into this. Let me, where is it? Here. Okay, so let's get into, hold on, I messed something up. Okay. Why you need a niche. So when you niche down, and let me just give an example so that you know what I'm talking about. So let's say your industry is travel, right? You decided you want to be in the travel industry. So niches within that could be cruise ships. It could be adventure, like skydiving, those types of things, volunteering, golf. It could be bars. It could be specifically bars in Las Vegas. It could be, let's see, let's look at another one. If your industry is food, then your niche could be gluten-free food. It could be quick meals. It could be family meals, wine and champagne. It could be baby food, pizza. So that's what I mean by it's one step even deeper of what your industry is. So when you have a niche, there's less competition because there's a ton of people in every industry. But then if you go down specifically to a niche, you're going to be a bigger fish in a smaller pond, basically. You're going to be able to stand out easier because you're able to, one, get known for that thing that's more focused. And also you're going to stand out because if someone's looking for that specific thing, you're easily the go-to expert in it because you're so niche down. So for example, let's say all you did was you meal prep family meals, and that was your whole niche. Then if someone is looking for help with that, they're going to go to you versus someone that maybe meal preps meals for a bodybuilding competition, or they do it for single students, right? So that's why it's also important to reference what your audience is and go through those questions that were from day 2. You're also able to charge a premium if you're more specific versus general, because you're able to really understand your space and get really good at it because you're not trying to do a bunch of different things. And when you're able to solve a specific problem versus general, people will pay more for that. So, for example, if you're a personal trainer, for example, and you specifically help new moms lose their baby fat and get back their pre-baby body, say within the year after giving birth. If someone had just had a baby and wanted to do that, they would pay more to work with that person that knows specifically things you're going to need, things that tend to come up when you're a new mom. They're going to know maybe different nutrition requirements if they also do that you're going to need specifically. They're going to know if there's any exercises you shouldn't be doing. And versus someone that is just general, a personal trainer, then it's not going to be as, you're not going to be able to charge as much because you're not specifically in that thing. So, for example, I worked with a personal trainer and he was working with a lot of the girls to prep them for pool season here in Vegas. So he would help get them into shape. And most of the girls that he worked with got jobs. But he wasn't really promoting that. He came from a bodybuilding background. And so he was still posting a lot of things about bodybuilding. And he was starting to become known in the pool club industry. And like the girls that went through him before and then were able to get hired, they would recommend their friends to him. So he was starting to get known like that. But on social media and his website, you couldn't really tell that. So what I helped him do was create a package for girls to get prepped basically for the pool season auditions. And it started at a very specific time before those auditions started because they all pretty much start around the same time. So they would have enough time to get in shape for it. And then he started being able to create content related to that, did different collabs with the girls he was working with. And he was able to then charge a premium because he was able to help with this very specific thing. And people knew that the specific result that they wanted, which was to get hired, they could do it by working with him versus if they just worked with anyone, they don't know for sure that they're going to get that end result, right? So that was number 2, why you need a niche is you're able to charge a premium. You also can focus on what you do, what you love doing, what you find meaningful, what you find purposeful. So I know when I first started my marketing agency, I would just work with anyone that would hire me, basically. And what I found was there's certain clients that I either really loved what they were doing, so I loved working with them, or I loved the values of their company, so I loved being able to help them be more successful, essentially. But then there was some people that I worked with that I just had no interest in what they were offering. So working with them was kind of misaligned. Whereas if I were more niche, I would only be working with the people that I was super aligned with because I basically predetermined that. And once you're able to figure this out, you're able to, like I was saying, create offers around it and create your content around it. So then you're going to attract the right people to you and be able to work with just the people that you're super excited to work with and that you're actually the most equipped to work with. It's also easier to grow. It's very difficult to grow, say, on social media or just how you're known if you're just saying that you are like, you just do all food stuff, right? Like that is so vague. You can't really stand out that way. Whereas if you were specifically about gluten-free food in Vegas, then you're going to probably start to meet the other people that work in that space, and there's probably not going to be very many. So then it's not going to be very hard to stand out, right? There's only a couple of you, probably. There's still going to be a lot of other people that, whether you do meal prepping or you teach people how to do that, or you interview restaurants that offer gluten-free, there's going to be other people that do that as well, but it's going to be a lot easier to stand out versus say you were just going to any business in Las Vegas, right? You narrowed it down to restaurants, and then you narrowed it down to specifically ones that have gluten-free. And that is what is going to help you stand out. So it's easier to grow and it's easier to stand out. So what is the difference between your niche and your personal brand? I know a lot of people think that if you have one, you don't need the other, or it can get confusing. I know I've said before, like I'm not from a professional marketing background. I went to school for journalism. So I'm more, they taught us about ethics and good storytelling and that kind of thing versus there's a lot of marketing jargon, right? So I got into marketing, but I worked in startups. So I was my own team. And so it can get confusing. So a niche is a part of your personal brand. Your personal brand encompasses a lot of different things about you. It's going to be your industry, your niche, your colors, your fonts, your style, your values. All these different things go under your personal brand. It all makes up what the basically reputation is that you're creating. Your niche is a part of that. So it's under your personal brand and it's under your industry. Yeah, I think that's everything. If you have any questions about clarifying that, just comment on the video inside of the website and I will put the link to so you can get the workbooks and everything below. Also, I didn't mention, if you're looking for more support too, in 2024, I do have 10 spots open. 8 are for my mastermind and 2 are for my one-on-one offer. So if you're interested in that, click the link to apply and book a call with me, and we'll talk about if either of those would be a good fit for you, or if I can refer you to someone else, maybe we're not a good fit. Okay, so So I wanted to know that it's important not to try to stuff everything into your niche or your industry. So those questions that you answered from day 2, you're probably looking at it and you're like, okay, if I'm going to pick a very specific thing, what about all these other things about me? So maybe you're like, well, I like yoga, I like dogs, I like gluten-free cooking, I like helping people grow their business, I like marketing and personal branding. This is about me, by the way. And for a while, that's where I got stuck with the whole niche thing, because I was like, I'm so much more than that, right? Like, I want people to know all these things about me. They're all important to me. I'm interested in all of them. And there's 2 things I want to say about that. One, although you don't have to monetize all of your passions. And when I first learned about affiliate marketing and passive income, that is what I tried to do. Anything I was remotely interested in, I was like, okay, if I'm going to spend time on this, I'm going to make it an income. And what I realized is that I quickly got burnt out and I wasn't focused enough on building one thing. So I had a lot of half-baked things and I had a lot of things that were complete, but that I never fully promoted and talked about and built up so that they could be successful. So the more that you focus on a smaller niche, the more you're then able to grow from there and do other things that you can add as income. But build one stream at a time and make sure that it is sustainable and consistent before you move on to the next one. I feel like my brain just went blank. But that when I learned about a personal brand, that's when I realized all those other things we're going to talk about later in these trainings. You can still use them. And I have a method that I do for social media that also showcases parts of your personality that you want people to know about you. So say you want people to know that you're really into wellness and you're a mom or a dog mom and you are planning a wedding. So those three things, you're still going to create content around them, and have it sprinkled in to what you're doing. And I'll show you how I do that. But it's not going to be what you're going to create an offer around or what you say is what you do. But it is going to be sprinkled into your marketing so that you have a actual personal brand. You're not just talking about business all the time, because people get kind of burnt out if, for example, I follow, say I follow people that are a operations management type people, because I know I'm probably going to be looking for that in this coming year, but I'm not looking for it right now. And it's fine to see their post about it. They're giving tips around organizing your business or what to look for in them and talking about their offers. But if they also were posting about things about their personality or things that are that they want people to know about them that they can connect on. So for example, if say there was an OBM that I started following and they post tips and all about specifically the type of operations that they do, say they specifically work with online business female entrepreneurs, then that would be probably a good fit. But then say they also posted about that they're planning a wedding, which I'm doing, that they're a dog mom, which I am, that they're gluten-free, which I am, and they're also sharing those things, then I would feel like I could connect with them and form a relationship. So then when I get to the point that I am ready to buy, they're going to be the first person I go to. Even if I followed 10 other OBMs, but all they post about is business, they're the one that's going to stand out because I connected to them and I would remember them because I would feel like we have a relationship, right? And I would feel like we're kind of on the same page and have things in common. So that is why it's so important to actually build a personal brand versus stopping here, with just your industry and your niche. But we'll get into all of that. But so back to your niche, that was a long tangent. But my point was not to try to stuff everything into your niche or feel like you're being boxed in, because that's how I felt like for a while. I didn't want to choose a niche because there was other things I wanted to do. I want to host a travel show, or I want to have a merch line for PrettyAF, or, all these different things. And I felt like a niche was so constricting. But then when you allow yourself to, one, focus on something until it's successful and really make that your focus of your business, and two, allow yourself to share those other things about yourself so that you're not so boxed in and it actually is helping you, then it makes it a lot easier to pick a niche and not feel like you're being suffocated or boxed in, right? Okay, so like I said, make sure you have your answers from day 2 and your industry that you chose from day 3. So let's get into how to actually choose your niche. So you have your industry, and from the questions you answered, you should have your interest, problems you solve, who you want to help, what's unique about you. So kind of review what you've written there and note where you see any overlaps, where you maybe mentioned something multiple times or something stood out to you. Think about that and think about what makes sense with the industry you chose. Your niche can be, like I said in the definition, related to your location. So let's use the example of you're a gluten-free baker, right? So it might be that you only serve people in Las Vegas. Or if you ship, it might be you only serve people in the United States or wherever you are. It doesn't have to be location-based. So for example, I work with people all over the world, and my niche is not location-based, but yours can be. Culture. So your niche might be relevant to your culture or a culture that you're really drawn to. Maybe you live there or you grew up around it, or you married someone in that culture. So that might be, instead of a baker, you specifically make like authentic Mexican baked goods or Italian or whatever. It could also be related to occasions. So maybe you only do wedding cakes or you only do children's birthday cakes and you make them really fun and whimsical. And then it can also be related to activities. So I don't think that would go with a baker, but maybe it's relevant to what you're thinking of. And then it can also go into your different interests and overlap them. So for example, you love baking, you're also gluten-free. So you're going to do those two, you're going to do gluten-free baking, right? Or you love travel and you're a dog mom. So you're going to do places that you can bring your dog to travel and you're going to create content around them. Or what's another one? You're a marketing agency and you love companies that give back. So you do marketing for companies that give back. So that's why it's important to get clear on all those things and think about which of your values and things that you're interested in are the most important to you, you're the most excited for, that you're like willing to go all in so that you can focus and niche down. So if you're kind of stuck on even knowing options, one thing that you can do is just Google basically your industry and niches. So travel niches, hospitality niches, whatever the industry you chose was. So I'm going to do an example right now. Let's say you are in the fitness niche. So if I search fitness niches on Google, okay, 55 niches. So you could specifically be about fitness supplements. I know I had one client that they created a white label fitness supplement company. So could be that. I know the trainer that I worked with, he created his own line of fitness supplements then as a secondary income. So more niches in the fitness area, weight loss, intermittent fasting, combat sports, fitness apps, fitness products, workspace wellness, fitness exercises, weightlifting, fitness news, women's fitness, home fitness, men's yoga, um, fitness equipment, um, fitness competitions, mental health. And then, so for example, mental health, that could go even deeper. You could be just anxiety, ADHD, and people tend to want to follow niche accounts, especially when they're specifically interested in something. So I've followed in the past year a lot of ADHD accounts. I followed a lot of home decorating DIY accounts. So I can ask my fiance to do things. I tried to hang up a curtain because our guest room is Baby Yoda themed. And so I wanted to surprise him and get it all done while he was at work because I work from home. And usually Wednesdays, I'll like clean and run errands and stuff. So I tried, and all I did was put a huge hole in the wall, trying to hang up curtains. And then I was like, I'm just not going to try to do anything else because I don't want to put more holes in the wall. So, yeah, I follow the accounts, but I'm probably not going to actually do it. Okay, so there's a bunch of examples. So whatever your industry is, just search it and search niche, and then you can start getting ideas. Maybe you'll see a couple of things that you're like, oh yeah, I did write that down. As far as like hobbies or things I'm interested in. So that could be potential, just to give you some more ideas. And then you can then look for any content that's out there around that niche. So you want to verify that it is a niche. So if you go to trends.google.com, it'll help you see how popular something is, if people are actually searching for it. Another way to do that is to search on the podcast app, YouTube, look on Instagram, look on Amazon for books, and see if there's things relevant to that niche. So, for example, if you're going to focus on, let's say again, gluten-free baking, you're going to find a lot of stuff on that, right? If you were to try to niche it down even more to like keto gluten-free baking, there'll probably be some things, but so it's up to you how deep you want to go into how niche you are. I would say at least one layer away from what your industry is, right? The deeper you go, so like if you go from your industry of food to gluten-free baking, that would be like one layer. And you'll find a lot of content on that, but you'll still be a bigger fish in a smaller pond than if you just started at food. But there are a ton of people interested in that. Versus if you then go down to keto gluten-free baking, it's going to be an even smaller pond, which means there's even less people interested in it, but you're also going to stand out more easily. So you can also start there and grow it to a certain point and then extend past that. Or you can just rock that and become super well known in that very tiny space, right? And yeah, I think that's all that I had on that. You can also look at what you see other people doing. If it's similar to looking up, like if there's magazines and books and websites on this topic, if you see other people doing what you think about doing, and even if you don't, it doesn't mean you can't do it. But I think it's always helpful to be able to see someone else do it. But of course, like running the mile in a certain amount of time, people saw someone do it and then one person did it in a shorter amount of time, and then a bunch of people were able to after. So don't limit yourself by that. But also, if you're the type of person that to be able to believe like you can even make a career out of that, I know for me, it's helpful to see that other people have done that. So I think like, well, why can't I do that if obviously it's possible, right? And then that'll also then eventually you'll get into maybe that's who you're going to work with as a mentor, or maybe you're going to buy one of their programs or their book or listen to their podcast because they're doing what you want to be doing. I think, yeah, that is everything that I had on this. So take some time to figure out what you want to focus on for your niche. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about what your offer is within that. So if you chose gluten-free baking, your offer could be you're going to be like an influencer and create content around it and do affiliate links. So we're going to talk about what your revenue options are, what you're going to focus on first. It could be you're going to open up an actual brick and mortar gluten-free bake shop. It could be you're going to interview restaurants and people can use your code when they go there or mention your name and you'll get something and they'll get something. So you'll need this to be able to figure out what your offer is going to be. And then the day after that, we're going to talk about what your content pillars are or your brand topics. So usually you'll want to have 3 to 5 of those, and that's going to fall under your niche. And that'll help you get more clear on what you're creating content around, specifically the kind of offers that you're going to be having. So it's just going to be more and more clarity as we go through this. And like I said, if you haven't signed up for the actual program, it's completely free. I'll put the link. So if you're listening to this or watching the replay, just click that, sign up, and you'll get all the workbooks and all the replays in one place on my website. And then if you want more one-on-one support in the new year with this, I would be happy to chat and see if you're a good fit for one of either my one-on-one program or my mastermind program for 2024. So I'll put both those links everywhere and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.